Hello, and welcome to Afflictions Sugarcoated, a podcast where we sugarcoat some of the world's so called afflictions and rate its plausibility out of a scale of 1 to 5. I'm Minnie Kim, and today we will be sugarcoating the belief that Earth is flat. And just a side note, by the way, this is the first time I'm recording without an entire script. It just became too much of a burden, so this podcast may sound a little imperfect, if you know what I mean. Okay, so believe it or not, people believe that the Earth is flat. Like, some people actually believe that. And there was this myth that we're not actually sure if people believe that the earth was flat or not, like 1,000 years ago or so. And like the earth, they believe that the earth was round since 500 BC, like by the ancient Greeks. And Pythagoras first suggested that it was a sphere, and like the mystery was solved for some reason. And like the irony is that like people in the modern world still believe that the earth is flat. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, even with the technology and even with the satellites and all the pictures and proven by like hundreds of scientists, maybe all scientists, and some people do believe that the earth is flat. Just a disclaimer, by the way, like for all the flat earthers out there, I'm not like trying to criticize you in like any way possible. It's just like a thing that I just believe is such ridiculous nonsense. Okay, so believe it or not, yeah, again, believe it or not, this whole episode is gonna be based on believe it or not. It just is. Like, there were flat earth conventions for people who believe that the earth is flat. I believe, like, somewhere around 2019, 2018, and people go there and they like discuss and they have like speeches, inspirational speeches. They talk to other people. They have fun. I don't know. And like there's this video that says we are not crazy. They hold up a banner and say that we are not crazy. Like, once again, I'm not against those people who believe that like the earth is flat. I mean, they can believe whatever they want to believe, but like there are pictures taken by satellites, like visual evidence from astronauts, the moon phases, and just like fly on a plane and look at the horizon. You will see that there is an end in which, I don't want to go into the science of it, just too complicated, but you will see that there is a horizon, right? Which means that the earth doesn't end there. It curves. Like, doesn't necessarily like curve like all the way, but curves to some extent that you will stop seeing a certain area from like some point, right? And yeah, people who attended the flat earth conventions, they believe that those pictures are fake. A fake? Really? Like, not to open the whole conversation about government agencies, but it was like taken by NASA and other astronauts. If you, yeah, so that's pretty crazy. I mean, it's reasonable to think that when we're on the surface of the earth, it doesn't seem curved. When we're born and like when we're in like the first grade, it's reasonable to assume that the earth is flat because no matter where we go, we just don't fall off, right? But then we know that there's a thing called gravity, and we start to develop the fact that the earth is not flat, it's round. It's a huge revelation for those young people. And I mean, to think that I am still young, but still, it's just really one of those things where you think that wow, people cannot go any further than this, like these conspiracy theories, it's really overdoing it. But I mean, come on, like a flat earth, I mean, it's a thing. For those of you who don't know, it's a thing. I mean, there's this myth that we didn't know that the earth was flat. And I honestly don't know if it's a myth or not, or if people actually believed in the ancient times that the earth was flat. I mean, it's reasonable because there's no technology whatsoever to prove their theory, but you can use like visual evidence, right? Um, but still, like, come on. Why exactly does this need sugarcoating? People believe this despite like the sturdy evidence, the robust evidence that still stands no matter what. And I just think, how did they come to think of this in the first place? We're taught from an early age that the earth is not flat and it's round. It's like kind of an imperfect sphere. It's kind of like an oval, but not exactly like an oval. Like the earth is not a sphere. It's not a perfect sphere. It's kind of more like an disfigured oval, if you know what I mean. You're taught this at an early age, and what surprises me is like how in like a world where this fact is heavily used to prove like theories, and like everyone knows, like everyone is has adapted to this society where the earth is round, right? And they still manage to break through that fact and make their own belief that the earth is not flat, not like not round, and it's actually flat. Like kind of seems more of a theory. I mean, a lot of people are devoting their time into this, their time and money. There are people who actually devote like a lot of money into proving this, like, right? I just think, why? Just go with the fact. Go with the evidence that is proven, and go with like the thing that's already there and what the majority of people believe. Like, I know that I'm opening a lot of controversial stuff here. I mean, obviously, don't just believe what the majority believes. If you do that, society fails to function. Like, someone needs to step up and say stuff, obviously. But, like, with facts like this, it's a scientific fact. It's not like a subjective fact, it's a scientifically proven fact. And, like, I think that's what I have a problem with, rather than other things that were once believed to be true but then proven wrong. I mean, I guess I'm contradicting myself. A lot of people believed a lot of horrible things, and now it's so controversial to think like that right now in like this modern world, and it's really dangerous to publicly announce those disproved quote unquote facts. And yeah, like it's a deep thing, but why why are these people so focused on this certain thing? I just don't understand. And why, like, despite the robust evidence, like, why are they going to the trouble of being called crazy? Rather, like, they have a choice. They can go back to their immediate lives. Why indulge themselves in something this deep, right? So, but like, I'm an avid debater. I have been told by multiple people that I will not stop until I prove my point. Like, and I realize that myself. It's just impossible to have someone believe something that I personally know is not right. But I mean, you gotta respect other people's opinions. I get that, but there are just some times where that's kind of hard to do. And it's just that feeling like you're about to cough, but it goes away. The sneeze goes away. It's just uncomfortable and disconcerting, right? It's it's a feeling swelling with uncomfort. I think what makes it more troubling is the fact that the earth is the very foundation of who we are. Without the earth, humans are nothing. And we can say that, oh, we can go to Mars or any other planet that's habitable. And although it may like take thousands of years to find something like that, it's still possible. Like, no, no. Without the Earth, humans cease to exist. And yeah, like, and it changes how we view the world. Like, if everyone were to suddenly forget about the Earth being round, and like they just immediately turn to the belief that the Earth is flat, and there was this one person looking and going through all of the thoughts of humans and find out that everyone believes that the Earth is flat, it's like so uncomfortable, right? Like, how? And then we desperately want to prove them wrong, and sometimes that works, sometimes it leads to the ultimate truth, the ultimate objective truth, if there even is one. And it's good, it's all good for a while. It kind of evokes the question, like it evokes many questions, as I mentioned. Like, one thing I think about a lot when I'm writing is like, is space exploration necessary? I believe it is. In a way, we can't think of a world where we don't believe the Earth is round. Like, yeah, it wouldn't be confirmed without space exploration, right? Like mathy, sciencey things, yes, obviously, but come on, like, we need actual human pictures to like ascertain that belief or whatever. Like, after all that exploring and finding out new facts and everything else, that it seems unimaginable to live in a world without those facts, and suddenly we think, oh, this is enough, right? It's enough to last us a lifetime, years, like hundreds of years, unless there's like a gigantic meteor coming straight towards Earth. We don't need space exploration. And I could like go on about a whole debate about this, but rather not. And yeah, it just becomes like in the tipping point of whether space exploration is really necessary. Are we really better off without wasting so much money on these things? Or do we need to actually find out more things, like more proof that the Earth is not flat? Like, I don't think we can get any more proof. People who are listening to this podcast, the Earth is not flat. We have sufficient evidence to last hundreds of generations to believe that the Earth isn't a perfect sphere, but it looks somewhat like it. And we live in a society where what majority believes is what's objective. And I could say the same thing about the Earth being flat. I could say that there's evidence, that there's proof. There are so many people who believe that the Earth is not flat. And what if it isn't? I mean, I'm not saying that the Earth is flat in no way, but like, we used to think that women couldn't vote, right? We used to think a lot of controversial things. As I mentioned before, if we continue to believe what we believe, like the same way what we thought like 100 years ago, there would be a lot of talk about it. So I'm not going to go in depth of the whole thing, but the theory that 1 plus 1 equals 1, like everyone's seen this on YouTube. 1 plus 1 equals 1. There's a theory to prove it. I'm not going to go into the math, but like, but everyone believes it's 2, right? You learn in school that it's 2. Eventually, you can do 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, and all the multiplication tables, and you go to calculus, and you go to algebra, and etc. But everyone believes that plus 1 is 2. It's a fact that 1 plus 1 is 2. Math is some of the things that we think it's a fact, but maybe it's not, right? So if 1 plus 1 is 2, and there's no way of checking it like with God or anything, it's ultimately 2. You can't change that. End of story. Like, what's the point of being a genius if no one knows your intellectual prowess, right? Whenever we find out something new, that thing is always new. But to humans who are born right after that finding and are taught in school about that finding, it's not new. It's what you're used to. It's what you learned. Like, it is what it is, like, literally. And it's a little sad. Like, to take the example of the genius again, you're not a genius if you're not certified, right? 1 plus 1 is still 2, as long as the majority of society believes it is. Like, that YouTube video isn't going to sway the minds of millions and billions of people. And I give a little toast to those in society who have stepped out to say that it's not objective even when society believes it. I don't think that the earth being flat is the best example, but it's still an example. Those people who go to flat earth conventions shout that they're not crazy. I mean, you gotta respect that a little. It's hard to stand out. And there's so many movies, so many books based on how standing out is a good thing. Let me tell you, it sucks. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes, like, standing out and believing something that most of society doesn't believe in, believing in something that's, like, unorthodox, that could ruin a person's life. And a life isn't a joke, right? So obviously that's it's a little sad that we have to prod and like prick people who refuses to kind of ride along with society's beliefs. And those who actually do stand out and rise to the occasion, those people are generally, in like the modern world, those people are praised. They're laudable, right? And we forever remember them about this person changing something. This person changed the entire vantage point of history, of humans, of like humankind. And those people who still stood out but didn't manage to do anything impactful to society, those people get thrown in the trash. Seriously. And that's what makes it sad, right? To quote Oscar Wilde, the truth is rarely pure and never simple. A clown's depth in like making people laugh doesn't seem so deep, like does it? Whenever you laugh with a clown, like by the funny faces of a clown, that red nose, you laugh at the moment and then it eventually goes away and it just feels empty. Why are you laughing at that clown? It's just a person in a suit trying to make a living for themselves by dressing up absolutely ridiculously and trying to like going to children's birthday parties and perform. And why do you laugh? Because it's funny. Yeah, because it's funny. And the perspective of truth doesn't seem so bright and like funny and true. And the truth, yeah, this statement cannot be more true. The truth is rarely pure and never simple. It is rarely so pure. We first need to define what truth is. Is it objective, subjective? Is it a truth in the world of aliens? Is it what is the truth? And what does pure mean? And what does simple mean? What is the standard for everything? And then society comes up and says, this is the standard for everything. And we just go along with it. I'm one of those people who go along with it. And I don't think I have a problem with that until someone proves me wrong. Then I have a problem with it. But then within a year, I forget about it because it's the truth. And then another person comes along and you get the whole cycle. And I don't want to deviate from the truth, which is that the earth is not flat. I don't want to rise to the occasion and say that I admire the people who have said that they're not crazy. I know that I already have, but like to all those flat earthers, keep going. Like if that's what you really want to believe, then I can't change that, right? Not by speaking out, not by criticizing. And what can I do? Like really, what can I do? There's nothing I can do. And everything that I've said, it's what I take from this theory anyways. No matter what I say, it's only going to reach a few people in the end. And yet I'm still recording this. So perhaps this is another act of a tiny revolution, like the tiniest revolution ever. And as far as history's concerned, revolutions start from tiny revolutions. And I think that's meaningful in a way. I give the sugarcoating of the flat earth a 4. This podcast was written and produced by me, Minnie Kim, and if you have any comments or reviews, please feel free to write any and all thoughts on your podcast reviews. If you have any questions or would like to suggest an affliction for me to sugarcoat, please email me via afflictionssugarcoated@gmail.com. That's afflictionssugarcoated@gmail.com. Really hope you had a nice time, and I want you to think about a question for the day. Like, is there such a thing called objective truth? Like, does it exist? Or is everything subjective? Is there like a fact that's never ever been proven wrong? I mean, I guess there is, but generally speaking. Okay, hope you had a nice time, and I will be back next month.